So welcome everyone to the Thursday Night Empowering Healthy Women little Zoom get together. Here we are to check in and kind of chat about interesting topics that are up and coming. So things that show up in our space during the week, things that people bring to me, or conversations that I have during the week always seem to spark where our next conversation is going to go when we show up here. And so my name is JoJo Bennington. I don't know if I did already say that. I may have already said that. So if not, now you really know who I am. And so welcome. I'd love to have you all here. And I love it when Jarrett shows up and our Empowering Healthy guy is here. So we have the guy on the back end. I love it when the guys show up and show their support. So thanks for being here. Good to see you all. Hello, Miss Liddy. And I have had this interesting conversation repeatedly. So just so you know, like over the last couple of weeks, I've been traveling around and doing some things with the team and been learning a lot and taking classes and what I have had come up in my space on a repeated cycle over the last little bit is commitment. And what happens when I don't feel as passionate about what I'm doing today as I did yesterday. And I don't know if anyone saw my Facebook post today, but one of the things that we've learned about commitment is that commitment is doing the thing that you said you were going to do long after the feeling where you had that excitement. Long after that feeling is gone, you still stick in there and do that. And so many things happen to get in the way of that, like no question. I was reading, I just thought I would look it up and kind of pull some things out that have to do with commitments. Making a commitment involves dedicating yourself to something, like a person or a cause. Before you make a commitment, think carefully, because a commitment obligates you to do something. Interesting. Some commitments are large, like marriage, or when you take a job, you're making a commitment to show up and do well. Your employer makes a commitment to pay you. There are smaller commitments too. So if you said you'd meet a friend at 6, that's a commitment. Show up or your friend will be mad. You can also speak a commitment as a commitment of quality. So like I stay after school and I show up for study group, and that means I'm going to be committed to get grades. But the one that I really love is the act of binding yourself to a course of action, either intellectually or emotionally. That's interesting, right? So a course of action. And I think that we start out sometimes, especially for me, and you guys feel free to pipe in at any point, but you go, okay, this is it. I'm going to lose this 30 pounds. Okay, this is it. I'm going to go build my business. Okay, this is it. I'm going to go meet 20 new people, whatever the thing is, right? Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're small. Maybe it's just, I'm going to commit to connecting with one person that I haven't talked to in a long time, or writing a note. Like, we used to think, oh my gosh, we were so excited when we got the internet, and now nobody writes like handwritten notes anymore. So, but those things, when I get excited and then, the excitement wears off, and then you go, okay, am I still committed? So why do we have to get up and commit again every single day? Is it not just good enough for me to say, okay, May 24th, 2018, this is what I commit to, and I will see that course until it's done? Why on earth do we have to then get up on 5/25 and go, okay, I commit again, and 5/26 and go, okay, I commit again, and on 5/27 go, okay, I commit again? Wouldn't it be just enough for us to go, okay, I committed on May 24th, and that's it. I'm going to do it till I'm done. Why don't we do that? Steph, you have a comment, or were you just
I was going to say to you, I think number one is being kind to yourself. And number two is every night every morning when we wake up, it's always good, because we've kind of cut everything off there, to wake up and maybe get a journal, do 10 gratitudes. I'm so happy and grateful that, get us in the vein. And then get out your goals, look at them, see where you are in the moment of receiving them, and pull that energy into the day. There's some really, really strong energy, that you can bring into your day. So being kind to yourself, I think, is the most important thing in life, and really honoring yourself. And if you're really, criticizing yourself, then imagine yourself as a young child and talking to that young child, because you are all of those things. So that's what I'll say about that. And just, that's all I'll have to say.
No, thank you for adding that in. It's funny, you kind of, in saying that, you segue me into this really cool thing that I found. So, which was 4 steps to making a commitment to yourself. So we do so great at making commitments to other people and holding those. At least sometimes we're great at them. But we tend to, especially as we look around, there's no question, we drop the ball on ourselves a lot. And so here's sort of the story behind this, is that I read an article about this girl who was looking for a soulmate. But I take that, and that soulmate, and this could also be, commitment could be dedicated there as well, but I'm looking at this as more of my business, or the action steps that I say that I'm going to do every single day that build me up. And so the first one was treasures. So what do you value? And so for me to make a commitment to myself, I need to take a good hard look at not only what I value about me, but what I value, not only what I value about me, but whether I value myself as a person. So in other words, how is my self-worth holding up, right? So when we look at how we're valuing ourselves, are we putting good things in our mouth every single day? Are we valuing ourselves with self-care? Are we losing our self-worth to toxic relationships or toxic food? Or so the question is really on the first side of how am I valuing myself? Am I taking self-care? Am I filling my cup first? And then what's holding you back? So even if we value ourselves, value whatever we're committed to, it doesn't mean that like everything's going to be always paved with gold. There's always something, right? There's just something that kind of pushes us off balance, right? So if, let's say, life happens, a friend does something that pushes us off course. Somebody says something, like in my business, somebody could say something and totally throw me off balance because they don't believe in what I'm doing, or they think I'm crazy. Or any of the things that happen in the world that push us off the fence. We're walking a very fine line. So do I think that believing in that over believing in myself is more valuable? So do I have trouble? Do I think that I'm more trouble than I'm worth? Is it so much easier to just go commit to someone else or go commit to something else than to commit to myself? Is it just too much trouble for me to spend the time and effort? And no question that I believe that not only me, but I work with people every day who we are our own worst enemy. We have a habit of criticizing ourselves instead of praising ourselves. We see the mistakes instead of the successes. And should we ignore the mistakes? No, because those are what lead us to growth. But does that mean that I have to sit around all day saying, you know, I'm a loser and I'm so stupid and how could I do that? But that's the way that we talk to ourselves. And so to really be able to change those things and replace them with self-forgiveness. And the third thing was, how much have we given? And it's not how much have we given to others, but how much have we given to ourselves? And so I love the gratitude and the goals but taking time to really self-care. And I'm talking, you know, go get a massage, go take private time, go meditate, find something that just pours into you. If you love to go paint, go do that thing that fills you up. And it had something that doesn't have to do with anybody else. Because sometimes we go, well, I get filled up by taking care of the kids, or I get filled up by cooking a meal for my husband. I'm talking about just pouring into yourself. Just pouring into yourself, getting over the people-pleasing tendencies, getting over the thing that we have to go do for someone else, and just focus on ourselves. Even like if it was just like a 3-minute meditation every day, it's better than doing nothing for yourself. And then, you know, question yourself on what is the alternative? What is the alternative? So if you say, I'm going to commit to this, and you don't, I'm going to commit to this weight loss. I'm going to commit to getting healthy. I'm going to commit to building lean muscle. I'm going to commit to going to talk to 10 people a day. I'm going to commit to, you know, smiling at every person that walks by me. I'm going to commit to having coffee with a friend every single week that I haven't seen in a long time. Whatever that thing is, I don't care. But what are the alternatives if you don't do it? So if we don't commit to the weight loss, then does weight just continue to show up? If we don't commit to building our businesses, then do we just end up in the same place financially that we are tomorrow? All of the things, I mean, the alternatives are not, they're not happy places when we think of, okay, if I just give up on myself, then where do I end up? So number one, value yourself above others. You're a wonderful person. We all are. It's time that we see it in ourselves. And make a list of the things that are so amazing about you if you have to. If you come up blank and you can't make a list about why you're so awesome, ask the people around you, because they value you and they'll be able to tell you something about yourself that maybe you don't know. And don't hold back. When it comes to you, you deserve your commitment, your time. It's not selfish. It's not selfish. It's survival. It's really true survival. Make a contribution to yourself. So you could think of it like tithing. So if you tithe to the church, or you give a donation to a charity or whatever that is. So invest 10% of whatever that is to you, 10% of your time. Even if it's just time, 10% of that just to do something where you can play a little bit more, work a little bit less. And there's no alternatives. We get to go around one time. We get one body. We get one opportunity to make sure that it's healthy. We get one life. We get one chance. And so why do we want to abuse that? It's so interesting. So I am questioning why we have to recommit constantly. So could we just say, okay, I commit today and make that commitment until we hit the results? Only results, never reasons. I don't know. What do you think?
Jojo, can I say something to this? Can you hear
Sure,
me?
Please.
Aaron and I were sharing earbuds, so I need to make sure my so for me, it's something that I do have to recommit and remind myself every day, because it's such a blueprint in my upbringing to not put myself first. And I heard it from my mom, that you're selfish if you do this, if you take the time out and you don't, no, go to this and hang out with those people and go say hello, even if I don't, I just wanted my space for a minute before I engaged. My dad was very much a person who kept his own space when he needed it, and that was not well received. So And, you know, I remember my mom getting like gift certificates for massages or a spa day, and she would never use it. She would let that money go unused, or that gift unused. And her comment was always, oh my gosh, I could have gotten you new stuff for school, and I couldn't get your brother this. And I could, you know, never seeing that that was something that would have benefited us even more by having a mom maybe who would have enjoyed a massage every now and then. But she would not have enjoyed it. She was so guilt-ridden when she did something for herself. So for me to move away from that, and thank goodness I have my husband who supports me on this, and I have kids who support me on this, and who know that I'm a better mom and a better spouse when I do things for myself. That is just really great. But I know that the people I grew up with do not see it that way. Like the older generation. My best friend back home, absolutely. But the older generation, like my mom, my aunts and uncles, older cousins, they don't see it that way. So then I'm the weirdo if I want my space, and I just want to say, you know, give me half an hour and I'll be game.
Awesome. We like the weirdos. That's
Right?
good.
But just to say, you know, it's something that it's not always that easy if you're not growing up with that support in your environment, that you're, like we learned this past weekend, you know, it's something that you can now change, and you can I can rewire my brain and seeing it differently and putting myself first. But for now, it is a daily thing. I have to get up in the morning, and I have to remind myself what I set out to do and why I want to do it.
That's awesome. And Blueprint has such a huge part of every single thing that we do. And how cool that we get to make a different choice now because we have the knowledge that we can do that. Not everyone has grown up with that knowledge, just like your friends who don't have that knowledge yet. And how fun that you get to be the one that can share that with them. No question that filling our cup up every day gets us to that space. And I think that those things every single day that you remind yourself, you do your gratitudes, I think those are just necessary parts of the day. I don't necessarily know that's the recommitment. I'm thinking of the recommitment along the lines of I've lost my passion, now I'm done. Now I have to recommit and go find that thing again. Where instead of just holding fast to the thought that we said it the first time and that stands above all else. I don't know. It was a question, and for anybody who knows Peter Kelly, she's one of the girls that we get to work with, and she just said, why is it? Why do you have to say it every single day? If you say it once, why is that not powerful enough to hold you through? Why does it have to be a constant reminder or constant recommitment, right? So I committed on the 24th. Now I have to recommit on the 29th because I ate potato chips for 5 days straight, right? Or whatever that thing is. So, Steph.
I always find that question, that why question, such a, it sends you down a rabbit hole.
There's never an answer to the why question, right?
I ask that question when I'm coaching. And when we talk about deservedness, I think making a list of all of the reasons why you're not committing to yourself might be a good exercise. And then, finding the root of that, like Katya has said, oh my gosh, that sounds like my mum's voice or my dad's voice, or I can hear this. Well, here's the thing. You can ask yourself one question, and that is, who does this belong to? And then that infinite wisdom comes up within you, and then you can just release it. And it's okay. You just breathe into it. Thank you. And I won't do that to myself again. So I think when you can get rid of the Harrys, the Harrys of I can't, I shouldn't, I can't commit. All of these are kind of beating up beating yourself up kind of messages, instead of saying I can and I commit and I will, and then taking one small action every single day towards your dream, towards your goal in the month, I think then you can feel a sense of commitment. Yeah.
I love that question. Who does this thought belong to? That's a powerful question.
Jojo, I guess I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? This is Liddy.
Hey, Liddy.
I just, as you've been sharing this thought about commitment, I guess what comes to my mind is that the fact that when you have a commitment, it gives you an empowerment. And the empowerment is to actually to play full out. So if you're going to stand in your greatest power, it means that each and every one of us need to like look at how we can play full out, right? So when we look at the recommitment, I think what happens is that every day we might be up against objections, or we might be up against a conversation that just like, you know, you can say, well, I had all my balloons in the air. This is like a hot air balloon and I'm like deflating at the moment. And it doesn't look like I'm going to have a very good landing. And so however it is, to go and stand in the possibility, a commitment stands in possibility all the time. It doesn't actually take a look at impossibility, but looks at possibility. Out of an impossibility, you get possibility. So commitment says, well, one conversation away from a solution. I'm committed to this. I'm committed to somebody's health. I'm committed to my own well-being. What is it that I actually am not standing in at the moment? And then there is a question. Therein lies the question. So what you get to reevaluate yourself if you're looking in the mirror and say that, what am I really committed to? Am I really committed to this? Then I have to become a voice. Commitment stands with a voice. So sometimes we're afraid of our own voice to be out there. So, do I say something? Do I not say something? And some people have no listening. So then you have to say, well, who can listen to this and give me good input, right? If I'm committed to this, I need good input, because I right now am not putting out good input. I got output that's going out that's not so good, but I'm committed to the conversation. If I want to get through it, then I still stand in my commitment. So here we are. We're all on a journey, right? It's not like I get to quit today because I have to live tomorrow. How do I want to live my tomorrow? So I guess I look at commitment like kind of like, what is that I get to stand in? Why do I really want to? So I have to look at like, I'm going to go through some kind of a conversion. I'm going to go through some kind of a transformation. I'm going to go through some kind of reinstatement. Those are words that I guess that just come to me when we get to ask the question, what is commitment? And if you're committed to well-being for all people, then, and including yourself, we get to be standing in that state that's called state of commitment. I guess that's reinstate the state of commitment.
That's good. There's a difference between interest and commitment. When you're interested in doing something, you do it only when it's convenient. When you're committed to doing something, you accept no excuses, only results. That was just a little goodie I came across that, and I remember them teaching us that, if you look at your breakfast plate, the chicken was interested, the pig was committed. Two different levels of commitment, right? And go ahead.
No, I just think that what you just said is kind of an interesting thought by itself, because in standing in a commitment, you need partners. Honestly, that whole conversation is like, if I just think about being an entrepreneur, and that if I'm committed to something that I want to make a difference in, and you say, I'm passionate about this. I am so passionate about this. Like, I need to be a game changer. Like, my commitment, my passion is I'm going to drive this thing. right? So I'm committed to that. An entrepreneur says, where's the problem? See, I think all of us come through in life and say, well, I seem to like be running into this problem over and over and over. Why don't I just see if I can provide people a solution? And solutions, if you have a solution, you got to take a look at solutions that are going to provide you with some revenue. So every entrepreneur says, the bigger the problem, the bigger the solution, the greater the money. I mean, honestly, if we're right now and say, okay, get committed to a great big problem, and then you just know that every day you're going to have some, partners side by side, and just go and seek a great big solution, and then get excited about that, and every day, live into that passion, and the abundance will come.
Mm.
I mean, but that's entrepreneurism in looking at commitment. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that there's something that throws the towel in on us when we hit commitment. And so here's just my little thought of what happens and what I see. It has only happened with me, but with others around me, is that I get committed and then something happens and it shadows doubt on my commitment, right? So I get little sprinkles of doubt on my commitment. And the more I let the little sprinkles of doubt rain down on my commitment, then now I'm seeing the little rain, and the more I see the little rain, the more I see more little rain, and the more I see more little rain, and the more I see more little rain. And so I have my commitment over here, but all this doubt and all this fear and all this shadow and all this craziness has come into sort of smother my commitment. And the more we look at that and look at the rain and the rain cloud, the less we feel connected to that commitment. And so it's always going back and finding the reasons why, remembering the reasons why, remembering the emotion and the intention that we had behind the commitment when the little raindrops come in, and not focusing on the raindrops, just knowing that those are part of the learning process, and not where to focus on. Because I see it more often than not, we start to focus there, and then we find things to justify that feeling over and over and over and over. We'll find people to justify that feeling. We'll find situations to justify that feeling. Things will just start to happen to justify that feeling, and it totally blankets over that positive, passionate, emotional connection to that commitment. And so it's always a reminder of what we focus on, we find, right? And Steph?
We've got to remember that we create everything. So if we're focusing on other stuff, then we're creating, we're creating the distractions, because there's a fear there, there's a paradigm there that's needing to be healed. So I think really, really paying attention to why we're focusing on other things rather than on what we want or what we should be. I won't take the word should out of it, but what we would want to create for the highest best. And then be attentive and just note this, and then work on what it is. If we need a mentor, get a mentor. If we do self-reflection, do self-reflection. But I always think it's part of the kind of self-nurturing anyway. So part of that looking after yourself is the self-nurturing, is the paying attention to not only cleansing your body, but cleansing your mind as well. So, yeah.
And why do we create those distractions? It's good, right? We create the distractions sometimes to keep us away from, so we can live in the paradigm of.
Yeah. Well, the subconscious mind is protecting us, of course. And the conscious mind is a saboteur. So the saboteur is taking direction from the subconscious mind, who doesn't care how things are. So we are wondering why we're acting in a certain way. And it's when we question, we go within and we think, that's because this happened, or that's because this happened. Do we ever find out why we're acting in a saboteur way? You know, we sabotage ourselves because of certain things. Say, for instance, we don't want to climb outside our comfort zone. So we create something, we create a backache, or we create something to keep us from doing that thing. We're creating everything. It's not just an illusion. It's we are creating everything that happens. And every conversation is so important. So I think it's self-inquiry is the most important thing when we are in a sabotaging or a procrastinating, mode. I think going within, and that's why I find journaling really, really key, because we can ask ourselves on paper, what's going on? We can ask, why am I, feeling distracted? Our inner being will always tell us why. Yeah.
I'm taking good notes. I knew this would be a hot topic to have a chat on, and we are actually over time. Amazing how fast that 30 minutes goes, right? So thank you guys for all your input. There's a couple of really cool videos I found on commitment thoughts, and I took great notes, and so I'm going to post all of the ones up and the stuff that I found. And perhaps this is a conversation that we need to dive a little deeper into, which is some of the blueprints that are held over from our childhood and our parents and our teachers and all of the people who thought they were doing such good for us. And we love them. Kisses out to the world for the blueprint makers. And so, all right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still there, we lose our gentlemen. So good to have you on. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next week. Thank you guys for all of your input.
Thank you.
Love.
Bye. Good night, Mary.
Thank you.